Today we're going to look at my COLT Gold Cup. I hope that this will be very helpful to some other people that have thought about buying one of these fine pistols. I've been waiting on this pistol for a long time. So let's take a look. Now the first thing you'll notice is some blue paper there that says 2000. That is my special treatment that I use for this gun. I have already shot this gun a lot. This gun has quickly become my favorite gun, and I have turned it into my everyday carry. And there it is right there. So let's talk about this gun a little bit. The first thing that I noticed for an everyday carry, it had some features that I did not like. The first thing, we'll talk about these one by one. I've got a sack of parts here. These are all COLT parts that I decided to keep, but I took them out of the gun. We'll lay these out. Here's the first part. First part right here is a double recoil spring, so that part had to go. Double recoil spring. Put that right there. And the miniaturized recoil spring guide rod, you can see this has two springs. It has a real small skinny one, and then it has a large fat spring. And the way that these work, this was supposed to be COLT's method for taking care of heavy recoil for the military. I believe it's when they tried to bring their military contract on board. But that will help you with some plus P rounds if that's your forte. You want to shoot some high recoil rounds. I don't. I use this as a target gun and also as a carry gun, shooting 185 grain, which is automatically gives you a lot less recoil to have to deal with. So the recoil spring I put in here is a Wolf variable rate recoil spring coming in at 16.5 pounds. That's the new standard. They know you'll lose a half a pound, and that puts you at 16 pounds. And Mr. John Moses Browning designed the 5-inch COLT 45 style pistol to run with a 16-inch recoil spring. So that's what we use for maximum reliability. I wanted to build this into a pistol that I would not be fearful of using for EDC, everyday carry. So let's look at the next piece. The next piece is right here, located right here, and that is a very nice sharp, I think it's 25 line prints checkering stainless steel mainspring housing. The COLT had packed this up with a nice little nylon one. It'll get the job done, but I didn't want a little plastic carry piece for EDC. I wanted that to be stainless steel, so that's got a nice heavy duty stainless steel. I've been carrying this gun today, so I got it dirty. Heavy duty stainless steel mainspring housing. The spring inside there was a 23, and I went ahead and dropped that down to a 20 pound. I don't need the extra heavy hammer, so we took care of that. So that's been replaced. The next piece, let's see what else we got here. When I did the micrometer work on this pistol, I was surprised, but this barrel bushing had 8 thousandths of a gap around it. 8 thousandths between the match grade COLT barrel and the barrel bushing that was from the COLT factory. So that was no good. So I got with EGW, you can see here's my little sack. COLT Gold Cup factory parts. Put them in this little sack, keep up with them. And I ended up changing these out with the COLT special parts from EGW, and here's the one that was in the gun. It had 8 thousandths clearance between the match grade barrel and the end of the bushing, and this was also a little bit loose in the gun. Not bad loose, but a little bit loose. So that got replaced, and then this long stainless steel with the grids cut in the end of it, I went ahead and replaced that. And what I ended up with is a very nice piece from EGW. So we'll go ahead and let's go ahead and get this polishing stuff out here, and I'll show you what this will do. I've already polished this some, but we're going to do a little bit more so you can see this in the sunshine. Like I say, I've carried this around a lot. It's got dirty and probably needs a good cleanup job. So what I like about this, it was called a drop-in fit, but it needed a little bit of extra work, and that's not unusual. The drop-in part was the barrel itself fit the barrel bushing, okay? That part was a perfect fit, but the problem was when you go to put this barrel bushing into the slide, it was a little bit tight. So I had to take a little jeweler's file and just do a very small amount of cleanup, a couple of thousandths of an inch on the lug itself, where the lug of the barrel bushing engages into the slide. In the slot that's cut in there, it was a little bit wide. So that was no big deal. And then the last step on this was when I turned this to try to put this plug in, there wasn't quite enough room. So I had to take about 8 thousandths off of this flat. And the way I did it, not very scientific and not a machine shop thing, I took my cutoff wheel on an angle grinder, had one of those thin cutoff wheels, and I took this piece and laid it on the side of that cutout wheel. But before I did that, I marked it up with a black Sharpie all the way around, and then I would take the cutoff wheel, the disc, and I would lay that like this, okay? Imagine this being the disc, and then I just laid that on the side of it with it running 10,000 RPM, and let it dress it, just natural lay. And when my black Sharpie was gone, then I did the other side, same way, just a little bit. We're talking about taking off 6 or 7 thousandths of an inch. So by the time the Sharpie mark was gone, then I did some custom polishing and around in a circle to make sure I had a good radius. And that 6 or 7 thousandths that I needed was gone. And it was gone enough that I could go ahead and jam in my plug here on the end. Now this plug is slightly extended. The thickness of this is more than factory. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but they made this a little thicker, and what that does is that protects your barrel. Then I went ahead and put a mirror finish on everything with the 2000 grit, and that's just a really simple way to do that. Just find you a good movie, make sure your gun's unloaded, and just hit that until everything's dressed together. It kind of marries them. These are not the exact same height, but that takes off that little edge there and just makes it look absolutely beautiful. So I got that done, and we went from 8 thousandths clearance between the barrel and the barrel bushing down to 1.5 thousandths. Thank you very much to Evolution Gunworks. I will send you this video, but that is a beautiful part. It is not for the faint of heart. If you're a person that doesn't like to work on stuff, don't buy that part. But if you like to do a little custom sanding, a little custom filing with a small little jeweler's file and a little bit of grinder work, a little bit of polishing with some sandpaper, that is definitely the part for you, because when that's all said and done, I went ahead and hit the edges of it too, knock it down for carry. When that's all said and done, man, you've got you a very nice tight barrel bushing now. And what that does is that brings your group size down and helps that. So when it closes fine, but I mean that thing, the gun has been checked empty. There is absolutely no play there now. I mean, it is stinking zero from the, or really close to zero. You don't feel it at 1.5 thousandths. That's only 0.75 thousandths on each side. So the Colt was right at 8, which is a sheet of printer paper on each side. That's too much for me. So the next thing I did on the gun, I did not care for their satin finish, kind of a sand. It was kind of a gritty, like you took 80 grit and ran it down there. I did not like that look at all. It's like you're trying to hide some imperfections. So I broke out the 2000 grit and I normally take the slide off, but I'm just showing you how quick this will clean up any little small micro scratches that you see. This 2000 grit will take care of that in short order. Now you don't want to keep sanding too far to where your nice heavy roll marks would go away. So what I do on that is I use my fingernail, very short right now since I'm videoing, and I drag and I make sure I can feel those letters real heavy. I know I got plenty of room left to do my polishing without hurting anything. 2000 grit sandpaper on a piece of stainless steel, it would take you a lot of hours to cut that deep enough to get rid of your roll marks. So that's not an issue. That's what they call a nothing burger. So, but you can see, man, that is really, I mean, you do that just a little while and it will get so bright that if you pull it out, if you had to deal with a bad guy and you pull it out on a sunny day, you could end up running him off the road. I mean, yeah, that thing is very shiny. So let's go ahead and hit the other side here. And this is just for touch-up. I've already done the main polishing on this, but just carrying it from day to day, you will get some small micro scratches. And this 2000 grit, especially out in the sunshine, you can really see what you're doing. You don't have to put very much pressure. You go real light on your pressure. And this 2000, after it wears down some, it'll become 2500 and 3000 paper. And it'll just get smoother and smoother. You probably could use some polish. I've had one guy that wrote to me and said you could use some polish like you use for mag wheels and hit it with that afterwards. And I haven't done that yet, but that may be the next thing coming up. But I do like me a COLT Gold Cup now. I went ahead and polished the side of these hammers. That's been polished a little bit with it too. It's kind of harder to see, and I shoot it a lot, so that hammer stays pretty dirty, but it's slick. And then the thumb safety, I have polished it to a mirror finish. And then here's another piece right here, this pin that goes through, which is for your slide lock. I went ahead and polished that. When COLT sends these out, it has that finish. It kind of looks like a frosted, like it's frozen. And I don't care for that frosted look, so I'll go ahead and polish that out. So this has been polished. Both the sides of the gun, both sides of the hammer, and then also on the muzzle. I really worked that over because I really like that look. It makes it so much easier to clean, because when you shoot a 45, especially with my powder that I use, I'm using Bullseye. It's a very dirty powder, but it's also super accurate. But it'll black that up, and I mean, I can put just a little bit of gun oil on a rag and just hit that a few times, and it's good to go. Does a great job. So that is the COLT Gold Cup Trophy. This is the light version, meaning there's no serrations on the front, or stippling, whatever you want to call it. Line prints, checkering, there's different names for it, but that's slick. That doesn't bother me, and there's no flare on the mag well. That saves me about $400 to $500 for just dropping those two options. For a carry gun, the last thing that I really did to this to make sure it was good to go was I pulled the extractor out, and it had about 4 pounds of tension on that, and I took it down to 1.5 pounds like the extractor should be. And then also, this is one more thing that was just for optics, was the fiber optic on this was red, and the red wasn't working for me. This uses a 80 thousandths or 2 millimeter. I think it's 8079.8 or something like that. Anyway, got on eBay and found some of this nice. A guy sent me a package with 2 sticks about that long, so I've got enough to make about 10 front sights. And it cost me $7 or $8 and about $3 for shipping. So for $10, I've got enough fiber optics to redo this pistol probably the rest of my life. Now, here's a trick I'm gonna teach you. If you really want to be a precise shooter, aim small, miss small is the saying, and that means your front sight needs to be pretty small. Now, what COLT does on these is they stick that fiber optic in there, and then they take something hot and they melt the face of it. And then you have this big red blob that's about 100 thousandths of an inch instead of 80, and it makes your aiming point much, much larger, which kills your accuracy. So what I did was I took this 2 millimeter, which is around 80, and I just slid the 2 millimeter in, took my razor knife and cut the tip of it off here and left a little meat on both ends. And then I took some silicone and came in with silicone real fine with a stick, and I stuck that silicone in underneath the edges where it goes through the risers, and I went ahead and just put that silicone in there and got a little dab here, and a little dab on this side, right here, and then I wiped it out with the corner of a paper towel, just folded a paper towel over and ran it down and cleaned that top side. So that lets the light in good, but this has got that nice silicone, and even though this may still move a little bit, it shock absorbs. And that silicone is balled up on the sides and the bottom of that fiber optic, so it can't go forward and it can't go aft, and I've got a double assurance of that because I've got it on both of those female sections there, where it's laid in there. And it's good and bright, man. I mean, when I aim out in the yard, you get any sunshine in there, that thing looks like it's battery powered. Let's see what else we got here that I changed out. And I think, let's see here. Yeah, I might as well show you the last things. I always say the last thing, and then I find 2 or 3 more things. This is one. That was the Colt hammer spring, was a 23 pound. And these don't ever use a 45 firing pin anymore. Everybody's using a 9mm or 38 Super, which is smaller diameter, and it's titanium, and it's lightweight, it's a smaller diameter, and there's just no need for a heavy, unless you're going into combat, there's no reason to have that heavy hammer spring. So I took the 23 out and replaced that. Goes in here, replaced it with a 20 pound, and then I always test it over and over and over again. I use Federal ammo, and I do a lot of loading with Federal. I found a good deal on them recently, and I bought 2 cases of that, and it's just a softer primer, so I don't have to have a real heavy hammer spring. That's a easy change out and costs about $3 or $4. The last thing, I guess this is officially the last thing, was I wanted to keep the Colt magazines just like they come from the factory. They give you a total of 1. $1,350 on this gun, and they still won't give you 2 magazines. But this magazine, when I first got the gun, it was causing jams, and I knew it was because the extractor claw was set too heavy. But I went ahead and set that out of the picture and got rid of that and switched over to a nice Cobra mag. And Cobra mag is what the competition shooters shoot. And when I put that in there with some good full metal jacket, it took care of business, no problem at all. So this is already proven itself to be a very accurate gun. It does everything that it's supposed to do. It has not had any malfunctions. Once I tuned that extractor claw, got that down to 1.5 pounds, and that's really all I had to do. The barrel already was cut, it was ramped, and it was throated out for hollow points, so that part was good. The slide to frame fit on these is loose. It's 15 thousandths of an inch, and it doesn't bother me one bit. Here's the reason why. Your sights, rear sight, front sight, are mounted to the slide. Your slide to barrel engagement right in here where they cut the lugs is very tight on the Colt Gold Cup. The barrel is a very high grade, national match grade barrel, and now my barrel bushing is tight. So even if the slide is loose to the frame, that's going to be the same as an AR-15. They do the same thing. You can be loose to the lower, to the frame itself, or the frame of the gun, as long as the upper, if your optics and your barrel, in their case it's all free floated barrel screwed into the receiver, all the upper is unitized. So this, and this is all going to fire like a unit when you fire that gun. With a good 16-pound spring, it's going to go back into battery good and solid, and it's going to repeat the process. I've already have proven this and shot it at 10 yards, and I'm now officially shooting 3 bullets through the same hole at 10. And the next step is to be able to take it out to 20 yards and see if I can do that out there. But that's the first test. So having a little bit of slop between the slide and the frame, that doesn't bother me a bit. And you'll be surprised how much it is. It comes out to about 15 thousandths. But when it goes into battery and locks up, that gun is good and tight. No problem at all with that. And I'm telling you, I'm very proud of this for a daily carry, and it's an easy gun for me to carry. I've got 2 or 3 good quality holsters, and I've got one that really shows it off. I don't carry it in areas that are a little bit more dangerous, but if I'm in a friendly area, like a barbecue area with some friends, or maybe going into Tractor Supply during the day, I will carry this rig right here and squish that down in there like that. That's a good tight fit. I have tightened these screws. I took the little rubber bushings out of those, and I've modified the heck out of this. This is a Galco Yagi type, but I did not like to use it as a clip into the gun, into the belt. I don't like that. That's not a good setup for me, because I've seen too many people decide they're going to draw their gun out real quick and they pull their holster out. So here's what I do. I took a piece of steel channel. It is the kind that you mount electronics on, a DIN rail, and you can't see it because I got it covered up with my tactical Gorilla Tape. But that DIN rail is in there, and you can see right there that DIN rail fills in that gap right there. I got it filled in, and it's turned down facing inboard, and I got it set for the right height. And what that does is that makes that unit really tight on my belt. You have to slip your belt through there to be able to put this holster on. You look on the back side, you can see what kind of hardware I use. And that's 1/4 20 nuts. Those have been red lock tight. They've been tightened down nuclear tight. And that way, that is unitized to this. And it goes, you put your belt through there. I also cut the barb off of this. I took a little angle grinder and just cut that silly barb off, because everything was dependent on you shoving that paddle down between your belt and getting your belt good and tight on your body, and then you go to draw out, and hopefully this little barb would hang on there. I didn't like that at all. So I put the steel insert, bolted it through the original factory slot that's here. It has a wide slot. Put those 2 large bolt heads through there, secured it here, red Loctite, cinched them down to, I don't remember, good and tight, German tight. And now the red Loctite's dried, and I've got a good solid steel insert in there. So now when you go to put your belt in there, that belt has to be really pushed through there hard. You can see how tight it is. It's a very tight fit. There's no movement now up and down, and there's no way that this is going to come off. When you go to draw that gun is in there like that. You keep pushing, and it's tight. And you get it tight enough, now it's in there, and it's wedged, and that belt will not let that gun, once you get it in there all the way, that belt will not let that gun tilt forward and aft. It just won't let it do it. As long as you got your belt on good and tight. I made extra holes in my belt so I could even get it tighter. So I wear my belt really tight. I hold my breath all day, and I just put that gun in there. Now here's the cool thing about a 1911. Once you put that lock on like that, that not only locks your hammer, that's your thumb safety, but it also locks your slide. So when you go to put your gun in there, you can really tell that that gun is locked because nothing moves. If you leave that down like that and go to put your gun in there and hang up on something, you'll see it sometimes, you'll see it floating around in there. So you always got to make sure your thumb safety's on. Then that gives you that calm assurance that you can cover your ejection port. You can see it, that's the cutoff point on mine. When I get my ejection port covered, then I know my trigger's covered. Say, you wear that out in the open like that where most of that gun shows? I sure do, because you get a COLT Gold Cup, man, you spend $1,350, and you get one that's that nice, and it's got a mirror finish on it like that, and those nice blue G10 Colt grips. You want to show it off a little bit, show as much as you can. Say, I wouldn't show that to the bad guy. I don't show it to the bad guy. Like I say, I use that for my barbecue days, go around to a friend's house or something, or going to a Tractor Supply where I'm out in the open on a nice sunny day at 12 o'clock, no problem. Maybe go into Lowe's again on a sunny day where I'm out in the open. And some people think I make myself into a target, and maybe I do to a degree, but most people that got enough sense in their head realize that a man with a military hat on that says U.S. Navy Submarine Service, and he's carrying a full-size 45 on his hip, and he's got a determined look on his face like he's trying to buy a really nice quality 2x4. That's not the kind of guy that you want to go jumping on. It's just not. It's that's going to cost you. So don't do that. If you see a very determined submarine sailor with a full-size solid steel 45 on his hip, don't bother jumping on him, because he probably not going to put up with you reaching for his pistol. And I trained a little bit of Kung Fu, and I like that. Somebody puts their hand on you. We call that thank you very much for the gift. That's a gift. As soon as somebody touches you, puts their hand on your gun, you can easily arrest their hand and lock them down in a wrist lock and say thanks for the gift. So we can do it that way too. So I hope you enjoy this, the COLT Gold Cup. I hope you enjoy that beautiful EGW barrel bushing. I know you're looking at it right in your face, but again, you're on video. Nobody ever died from looking at beautiful jewelry like that over the digital airwaves of the internet via YouTube. It's pretty safe. You're not going to get hurt. But that mirror finish, man, that 2000 grit, I love that stuff. If I get me a little scratch right here, I just break out that 2000, man. Just break it out, start hitting it. Say, oh gosh, you're sanding your gun. Yes, sir, I'm sanding my gun. Yes, ma'am. And 2000 grit, it's no big deal. It doesn't do any real heavy sanding. It basically does some very smart polishing. So again, hope you enjoyed this. And to my Marine buddies, thank you so much for your service. And Semper Fi, thanks to all of our military personnel for their service, and especially those B-2 bombers that threaded that needle and took care of the nuclear facility over there in Iran. Thank you so much for your work, and Godspeed to all of you that are having to do those kind of jobs. So appreciate you watching, and over and out for now.